we're going to go over the basic steps of how to manage a storage account in Azure. Now, some people call it Azure. I say Azure, so it's no big deal in between the two, just in case you're running. Azure provides a range of storage options for different types of data. So you're going to think about files, blobs, tables, and queues. Now, blobs are for storing unstructured data, like images and videos. So you can think about tables, think about structured data like NoSQL databases or even SQL databases. And queues are also for storing messages between communications of applications. But I just didn't want you to be unfamiliar with those particular terms. Just like the other applications, AWS, GCP, using Azure for cloud storage, you can take advantage of the scalability, the durability, and security features. And again, this demonstration is designed to give you exposure to Azure platform and its cloud storage capabilities. But you're not going to be required to know this level of detail for the exam. So just keep that in mind. All right. First things first, let's go ahead and go to Store, Backup, and Archive Data. All right, so now we're on a screen where we're going to pick one of the options to get started. So the first thing we see all the way to the left is create an Azure storage account. Right here, we're going to just create a general purpose Azure storage account, which is going to support what we mentioned earlier, the blobs, files, tables, and queues. Or we can get very specific and get started with the blobs. So the Azure Blob Storage provides scalable, durable, and secure object storage for a wide range of scenarios. Again, blobs you can just throw anything in there. You don't have to think about structure. And then the last thing you want to look at is getting started with Azure Files. Now, Azure Files will let you deploy secure, scalable, and globally accessible cloud file shares, and they're easy to manage. Some of the pros and cons really quick between the two. As I mentioned earlier, the Azure Blob Storage is optimized for storing just large unstructured data, such as videos, images, audio files, etc. With that being said, it's much more cost effective because now you're not thinking about all the different structures that's required for this. But one of the drawbacks with having that is it's not suitable for file sharing between users, and access to the blobs is controlled through a limited set of authentication methods, okay? Now, with the Azure File Storage, on the other hand, is optimized for storing structured data such as database configuration files. Think about our typical file system on our computers. And it will provide a familiar file share interface for accessing storage and supports SMB protocols, and it's commonly used with Windows environments. When it comes with that type of, enhanced features, we want to think it's going to be a little bit more expensive than a blob storage, and it does not support automatic replication from multiple regions, which can sometimes impact availability and durability. But again, everything just really matters what you need in your specific situation. So for the sake of example, we're just going to go ahead and go general storage and start here. All right, so now we're on the screen to create a storage account. First thing we want to look at here is the subscription that we're going to be using to associate. And again, here is just nothing more than what Azure uses to manage your particular account and your storage information. So we're going to use Azure subscription 1. That's the default there. And for the resource group, I have one already set, cat pictures. But what a resource group is, think about a resource group like a box, and it holds all the things you need for a particular type of project in Azure. You can decide the things you want to put in the box, such as virtual machines, databases, or web applications. It's like putting all the tools you need for a particular task in that toolbox. Now, the resource group is important because it stores information about the things in that box. So when you choose where you want to put the resource group, you're also choosing where to store the information. For example, you might want to make sure you're storing this information in a specific region to follow specific regulations or laws. Okay, so right now I have cat pictures. You can create a new one. We're just going to do a new one for, I'll take argument. We'll do cat pictures 2. Hopefully it's nice to us. All right, good to go there. Now, again, just like everything else, we want to focus on the things with the red asterisks. And since we're doing this as beginners, a lot of the default and recommended settings are already going to be pre-configured for us. So we're going to keep a lot of things configured at the default configuration level. So here, we're just going to do Cloud Essentials 1, 2, 3. Now with this, they're very particular about the storage account name too. You can only have lowercase letters and numbers. So that's something to keep in mind. Just from my personal experience, Azure and AWS Lightsail, things are a little bit easier on the Lightsail. It's not as much configuration. It's a little bit cleaner interface. That's just my personal opinion. Everyone has their own likes and dislikes about each platform. So let me go here, go to advanced. I'm going to think about these security settings. And again, Microsoft's very big on security. But again, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to keep everything kind of to the default level. All right. So for the network access, we're going to keep it available for the public access from all networks. So what it does in this particular example, it increases availability of access to a particular storage. In this case, using multiple teams, and it's just easier to get to a particular destination using the public internet versus using a private internet, just in case you have issues with, your VPN or access to your internal network. All right, we're going to use the Microsoft network routing option instead of the regular internet routing. I like to use a lot of these particular ones designed for the cloud solutions because, again, they're optimized for routing that particular type of traffic, so we're just going to keep it there. All right, data protection. We see recovery options here, tracking, it's versioning, kind of like how Microsoft tracks things within Excel or Word, which version, the blob you have there, etc. Access control, we're just going to keep everything kind of basic. Encryption. Now, by default, Microsoft will encrypt your information. And again, we're just going to keep it very basic and we're going to use the Microsoft managed keys. All right. Now here we have the option for tags. Tags are key value pairs and it enables you to pretty much categorize your type of billing and usage for particular storage devices in this example, but it can be for compute, networking, or storage as well. So just to sum that up, it's just a quick and easy way to categorize what group of people, what device, or what organization is using what. And it helps for billing purposes, allocating budgets, etc. All right, now we have the final validation being ran by Microsoft. Hopefully everything goes through. Looks like it did. And let's press create here. Okay, we're deploying this, submitting deployment, and it looks like everything was almost a success. Come on. Come on. Voila. Our deployment is complete. So we have successfully created our first storage account using Microsoft Azure.